these monstrous alien gods from beyond space and time, the dark secrets at the centre of the universe, the tenuous nature of human existence, just the dreams and ideas that those put into my head are something I treasure. Nihilistic horror, that feeling that humanity is small and pointless. That horror that is drawn from the inky depths of space and deep time. This is a horror based on futility, that it is fundamentally about humanity's insignificance in a huge, incomprehensible universe. The fact that the universe in which we live in is too great for us to understand, and just little bits of that understanding, if we can piece them together, are enough to destroy our minds. And I find that a very compelling idea, and also a frighteningly believable one. The iconography, the imagery of horror speaks to me, and that's why I play Call of Cthulhu, because that kind of horror just matches something in my own imagination. So, do I consider conducting a Call of Cthulhu scenario with the group as a form of artistic expression? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Because it draws upon all sorts of different things. You are creating the tools whereby story can happen. You're creating building blocks. The story is then assembled out of those at the table, and often in a permutation that you had not anticipated. There is also a performance aspect, but that's not just from the GM. In fact, I think some of the best games are ones where the GM's performance is relatively low-key. You're primarily there to keep the rhythm, you're there to keep the beat going, and give everyone else a framework about which to improvise. The way all of these elements mesh together into something unpredictable is a form of creation. Yes, you end up with something at the end that is pure expression, that hadn't existed before, that is completely different than any other group's experience, even if they've played exactly the same scenario. Unpredictability is hugely important to me. If it's happening the same way every time, that means that the players aren't getting to make a lot of meaningful choices. Not having preconceptions about where the game is going is vitally important to a keeper. You have to be able to let go of your ideas and see where things take you. You can trust your own imagination, you can trust your ability to describe things or to pull things out of thin air when you need to. Bear in mind something that a friend of mine, an RPG writer by the name of Malcolm Craig, wrote about some time back. Instead of presenting this story construct to the players, that you present them with the situation. This is where your characters are. This is what's happening. This is the problem you're faced with. What are you going to do about it? You don't have an endpoint in mind. You don't have a solution in mind. You're presenting them with the problem, but you, as the GM, don't necessarily know what the solution to that is. How do I communicate a sense of space and place to players beyond it being a mere backdrop? Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here. The players are dependent entirely on the GM for getting that initial picture of what the world is like. I think it comes out of fiction writing, but this idea that when describing a scene or opening a scene, that you should present three main bits of information. It doesn't overwhelm the players in an RPG with too much information. If I sat down and described every single bit of furniture in a room and what the light sources were like and the motes of dust dancing in the air and the smell of the carpet and the sound of the clock ticking on the mantelpiece and the sound of doves in the eaves outside and the way that the sunlight is coming in through the curtains and all that stuff. I mean, it may be very nice, but at the end of it, the players will just look at me and think, okay, but what out of that was important? What am I supposed to be concentrating on? Smell is a very underutilized sense in description, particularly in horror games. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror, for example, there is a theme of smell going all the way through that, this indescribable alien foulness. It's not corruption, it's not rot, it's not excrement, it's at some point it's described as smelling a bit like thunder. Every time it crops up, we know something bad is going to happen. Similarly, sounds. I'm not above making strange noises at the table, howling like a wolf, or growling, or gurgling. These things, go a little bit beyond traditional description, but they bring the world to life. Call of Cthulhu definitely gave me a focus for my writing, and allowed me to build that into what I laughingly call a career. Can I look back at my life and say what my involvement with Call of Cthulhu has done for me? Well, I think the most important thing that it's done for me is it's introduced me to a lot of wonderful people. I've had the experience many times of playing Call of Cthulhu with people I've never met before, and after a game or two we're fast friends. Most of my long-term friends are people I met across the gaming table, something that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't sat down back in 1983 or 84 or whenever and started playing Call of Cthulhu together. I certainly don't think I'd be where I am at the moment without Call of Cthulhu. So, yes, it's been a hugely positive influence in my life in that respect. And also, the stories that it's all based on, the scenarios themselves, the imagination that goes into those, these monstrous alien gods from beyond space and time, the dark secrets at the center of the universe, the tenuous nature of human existence. Just the dreams and ideas that those put into my head are something I treasure.